I want to retain all rights. I don't want to waive any rights.
And that's not really how it works.
Part 2 of a multi-part series featuring Rockingham County, North Carolina. Although Keith Benfield released Mrs. Justice from the unlawful detainment on February 21, 2020, Benfield kept her car and house keys.
Hey! My car key! No, that was the one my husband had. This isn't my car key. Ugh! Come on, man.
The Madison PD initially said they didn't have custody of the keys.
Madison Police Department is Officer Michael.
Hey, Officer Michaels. My name's Christina. An Officer Benfield put me in cuffs tonight. But I think he still has my car keys. They returned my husband's keys to me, but not mine. Do you know how I can get those?
Hang on 1 second, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Just hang on for me, okay?
Okay. Yep.
Ma'am, as far as your car keys go,
Yeah.
he said that he gave you your car keys.
He did give me one set, but the set he gave me weren't the ones that were in the ignition. So I'm just wondering if he has the other one or if somebody else has it.
We don't have no car keys of yours.
All right. I wanted to check. Okay. All right. Hey, do you happen to know the names of all the officers who were out there tonight?
It'll be on the report.
But that same week, they changed their tune as the keys magically showed up in the Madison Police Department parking lot.
Hi.
How you doing? Keys.
Yes, here to get some keys. Yep. They should match these guys. Like identical match here.
Oh yeah, that'll. If you don't mind if I take those? I don't mean to. I was just gonna look and make sure.
Okay.
All right.
Do we know who found them or who had them?
They were found by a member of Public Works.
Okay.
I'm not sure that I wasn't here. I'm not
right.
sure the whole thing on it. I'm gonna turn them back over to you though.
All right.
Make sure I got everything right.
The town of Madison paid $93.30 to Mrs. Justice to cover the cost of changing the locks on the house since the keys stolen by Benfield contained a house key.
Hey, how are y'all?
Doing all right. How are you?
Good. Here's your check.
Cool.
Although they let Mrs. Justice go, they took Mike to the Madison PD instead of directly to the county magistrate's office. On the scene, Benfield claimed he didn't have a supervisor, that he was the supervisor.
I'm scared of you.
I am the supervisor.
Oh, do you have a supervisor that's over you?
No, not right now. There is not. No.
But Mike found out that Lieutenant Smith was on duty at the Madison PD just a few blocks away. Lieutenant Smith refused to release Mike from the kidnapping and thus became an accomplice to the crime. They held Mike against his will at the Madison Police Department for around an hour before transporting him to the magistrate's office, according to the official CAD report. While at the Madison Police Department, Benfield and Michael's body cameras were on and beeping. Matthew Michael told Mike that the MPD Captain Jason White was tracking Mike's activism from Guilford County. See the Guilford County series to get caught up. Remember, just 2 weeks prior, on February 4th, 2020, Guilford County staff and contractors attacked Mike, rendering him unconscious. They were unable to positively identify their unconscious prisoner. Could this be the real reason for the unlawful stop and kidnapping? Were these small-town country cops following orders from their captain to get Mike's ID no matter what, in order to show the big city boys how it's done? At the magistrate's office, the magistrate unlawfully denied Mike's ADA request for accommodation. Benfield lied to the magistrate with their body cameras rolling. Mike dispelled Benfield's baseless accusations and invoked the Fourth and Fifth Amendments. The magistrate agreed with Mike, but he gave Benfield another chance. Benfield then said he had probable cause because he was investigating a suspicious vehicle. Mike again dispelled that issue by pointing out to the magistrate that suspicious vehicle is neither a misdemeanor nor a felony. The magistrate asked Benfield to lock Mike up in a cell down the hall. Benfield did so and returned to the magistrate to conspire with him on how to charge Mike with a crime in a way they could try to justify locking Mike up in the dungeon. They had this ex parte meeting for about 20 minutes before Benfield retrieved Mike and handed him off to the jailers for booking. The Rockingham County jailers took Mike's hat and glasses and his long white cane. They put Mike into their jail slave clothes and tossed him into an isolation cell.
He will be kept. At this time, he'll be segregated from the other population here in the jail.
This directly violates the ADA, 28 CFR 35.152. B. Discrimination prohibited. 1. Public entities shall ensure that qualified inmates or detainees with disabilities shall not, because a facility is inaccessible to or unusable by individuals with disabilities, be excluded from participating in or be denied the benefits of the services, programs, or activities of a public entity, or be subject to discrimination by any public entity. 2. Public entities shall ensure that inmates or detainees with disabilities are housed in the most integrated setting appropriate to the needs of the individuals. Unless it is appropriate to make an exception, the public entity, 1, shall not place inmates or detainees with disabilities in inappropriate security classifications because no accessible cells or beds are available. 2, shall not place inmates or detainees with disabilities in designated medical areas unless they are actually receiving medical care or treatment. 3, shall not place inmates or detainees with disabilities in facilities that do not offer the same programs as the facilities where they would otherwise be housed. And 4, shall not deprive inmates or detainees with disabilities of visitation with family members by placing them in distant facilities where they would not otherwise be housed. 3. Public entities shall implement reasonable policies, including physical modifications to additional cells in accordance with the 2010 standards, so as to ensure that each inmate with a disability is housed in a cell with the accessible elements necessary to afford the inmate access to safe, appropriate housing. The Rockingham County jailers threw Mike in isolation because Mike is disabled. As we just covered, this directly violates the ADA. The isolation cell is brightly lit, and the jailers claimed they couldn't dim the lights. Due to the multiple TBIs, Mike is extremely photophobic, sensitive to lights. Mike communicated this to the jailers and made an ADA request for modification to not be in a brightly lit cell. The jailers unlawfully denied the ADA request. Mike tried to use the slave clothes to protect against the bright lights. This was too little and too late. Mike suffered a migraine. Migraines render Mike unable to move or speak. Eventually, the jail nurse, accompanied by a jailer, went into the cell to conduct the intake medical assessment. She discovered Mike's blood pressure was through the roof. Blood pressure is directly tied to the amount of pain a person is experiencing. The nurse told Mike that if she didn't intervene with medical assistance, it would be likely for Mike to suffer a stroke, which can be fatal. She asked Mike for consent to treat him, but Mike was unable to communicate. The jailer punished Mike for not answering the nurse by putting Mike on suicide watch. The jailer stripped Mike naked and removed everything from the cell. They left Mike in a brightly lit cell with no protection from the light for most of the day. They had Mike there the night of February 21st, 2020 until the evening of February 22nd, 2020 around 8 p.m. Somehow Mike was able to regain enough function to ask for a phone call early Saturday evening. Here's the call.
To accept this call, press 3 now. Block all. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. You may begin speaking now.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, can you record this?
Yes, I am.
Great, okay. Are you guys okay?
Yeah, we're okay.
Okay. I'm not safe here. I need you to get me out of here. I understand.
You need me to get you out of there. You're not safe here.
Yeah.
not safe. They put me on suicide watch and stripped me naked. And so if they say that it's not because I did it.
Mrs. Justice found a bondsman to post the $2,500 ransom. But the jailer still required Mike to give fingerprints and identification before they released him. Mike recovered at home and in bed for the following days. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. Deo Presso Liber.